Hi and welcome back again on this new video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you can get the notification whenever I upload a new content. In this video, actually, we're going to talk about this code function, this Excel, the new Excel code function. I think this has been actually out there for quite a while now, and I've never used it actually. So I was just cleaning up, some of my data, and then I stumble into it. I'm like, I should make a little quick video on it, so hopefully, this may help anyone trying to, clean up, his data. Usually when you have these phone numbers or phone number mix or addresses, sometimes you have address mix up with zip code or whatever, whichever the case may be anyway. I thought this will help, right? Um, so this has to do with text before and then text after, right? So we are going to use these simple examples. I think I got this example actually given from Excel actually. These are just some example, like they gave out there to test actually how the test before and after actually work, right? So over here we have this test that says little red riding hood, red hood, right? So now we want to get the test before the red, and then we want to get the test after the red. So here's how it works here. Okay, we're going to try the test before. So here is equal test before. Now we have to put in there. Clearly you can see the different component of it. We'll go through each of them, right? Test, the test actually is where the test, our test is in cell A2, so we clearly put A2 here. And then we have the delimiter. The delimiter, right, I want to use red as my delimiter, so we put comma here and then we put red. And to some extent it can be either case sensitive or insensitive, if you may ask. So we'll get there. We'll get there whether it's case sensitive or not. We'll get there, right? So by default it's case insensitive, but we can change that to case sensitive. The next thing we want to do here is to add up the instance, right? Instance number, like we have two reds here in this sentence, right? I have this first one and then the second one. Like the instance number is to say, do you want to look at the delimiter, like the red, the first red, the second one, or what? If there is a third one or the third one and so on, right? So I want to look at any string before the first red, so we just put one because this is the first one. So I just put one in there. If I want to, I can close this bracket and enter. And the only thing it gets here is a little, because little is the only, when you look at the first red here, the string before the first red is, the test before the first red is little, so it just picks the little, and we can just add, do the same with this our next sentence here. And clearly over here is something very interesting that happened here. Is a NA did not recognize it, right? Let me show you something real quick here. In this formula that we have here, test before, right? Because this red here, right here, you can clearly see that the red is, we have uppercase, not lowercase, so it did not recognize it, right? If I was to change the red into any other, lowercase, it definitely going to recognize it, but it did not recognize this test. So when you look at the test before, again, there is a match mode here, a match mode that comes like when you want to match it up, right? You have the test before, and then you have all these different components here. We can go through each and every one of them here. You can see it here, right? You have either the match mode where the 0 is case sensitive and then 1 is case insensitive. Right now the 1 is being adapted by default. It's determine whether search mode is case sensitive. By default is case sensitive, right? It's case sensitive by default. So clearly that's the reason why our second sentence actually didn't work out, because this is case sensitive. So if you want it to be case insensitive, we just put 1 at this very instance. After the instance number, the match mode should be 1. So when you put 1, that's case insensitive, and then it will recognize it. So let me close this window, and then let's go right here. We can change this. After the 1 right here, we can put a comma and then put another 1, enter, and then it will pick it as a little. Now it's case insensitive. So yeah, that's what really happened here. We didn't need that, but over here, if we wanted to recognize this red, we have to change this into, so I can do the same right here to have the same formula. So right now when you enter, it recognizes everything. But if I fail to put this one right here, or should I change this one into 0, that's case sensitive. It will not recognize this text. When you enter, it will tell you NA because it does not recognize the sentence actually. This one is fine. If we put the 0 in there, oh now, oh this is 10, not 0 actually. Okay, great. So yeah, it recognizes there, but here it does not recognize. So this is how it works if you want it to be either case sensitive or case insensitive. Next, if I want it to be any text before my second red here, instead of having the first, the second red, I will change the instance here, my instance number to 2 instead of 1. And then when I do that, enter, it will take this whole text, little red riding hoods up to the hood. So this is what we have here, because this is the instance I want to get the text before the second, actually the second red, right? So that's what I have here, and I can do the same over here. This will be NA because I put in there again case insensitive. So if I want case sensitive, I have to put 1. And then when we enter, we come down here, it will recognize the second one as red, and then it will work out. But if it's case insensitive, it will not work out. So we have to be always be mindful of whether we want it to be case sensitive or case insensitive. Very important. Now let's jump right here into the the test after. The test after is just the opposite of test before, right? So when we come down here, equal test after, right? So let's say I want to get test after my string, my test in cell A2, right? I want to get a test after it doesn't have to be the red. We can change the string this time around. I can put say hood, right? Let me put hood here, right? So I want to get test after hood, and the delimiter, how many hood do we have? Okay, we have 2 hoods. One is clearly, you can see one is like uppercase, one is lowercase, right? So by default, it's going to take the first hood. So let me keep it that without changing, adding up anything else, and then enter. We have an empty string here, right? So again, we can drag this down, and clearly everything is empty. Why? When you look down here, the hood that we put here, this is lowercase hood, right? And this is this very hood, and this hood, after the hood there is no sentence, it's an empty string. So this comes as empty because there is nothing after the hood, right? Now if I was to put like case insensitive, because right now it's case sensitive, if I put case insensitive, it's going to recognize my hood, this very first hood, as being actually hood like the other one. Like there will be no difference between the first and second hood, and therefore it's going to recognize this range as hood, and then I will get the test after that. So, and for that to happen, I have to change the case insensitive to case sensitive. So we can go right back again, and so I already have my delimiter. My delimiter is hood. The instance, well, I can just keep the instance as the first instance or the second one, right? I can put the first instance. My first instance is my first delimiter, actually, like the first element, the first delimiter that the test will find, right? And then you put a comma, and then the match mode, I want it to be case insensitive, then I will put 1 and then enter. So in this case, it will recognize the first hood as hood, so it's not, because it's case insensitive. That means whether you have upper and lower case, they are still the same. And then after this hood, you have this apostrophe, you have s, and then red hood. That's what we have here. And we can drag this down because it's case insensitive. It recognizes the same text, which is very important. Now again, clearly you can see, even if it's case insensitive, I've decided to choose like the first instance, the first hood. If I was to put 2 here, instead of 1, the 2 will be this second hood, and it will not recognize this as I mean, the test will be empty like the one we had before, even if it's case sensitive. So if I was to change the 1 here to 2, that means I do not want to consider this first instance. I want to consider the second instance, the second appearance of hood. After this hood, there is no more stranger, there is no test, it's an empty test. So that will come empty definitely. So enter, and there is nothing there because there is nothing at all. See, because we put 2. If I was to change this test and then put like say a dot after the hood, say I put a dot, then after this over here we don't have a dot because I put something after the entire test. So let's go back here, and clearly you see there is a dot that just pops up in there, right? So yes, that's what I have for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And the next one, actually, we're going to come up with something more practical. So there will be a part two of this, all right? I'm going to come up with something much more practical than this, actually. Yeah, see you on part two.